Hey, Aaron Pearson here. I'm here with Doug Zumak and Ed Pfeiffer from CSI Home Inspections. Doug and Ed, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we've got a couple questions we'd love to ask these guys here at CSI, and I think it'll give you guys a better understanding of what CSI Home Inspections does and how great they are working with our agents and performing their job. One of the first questions that we have is, how long have you guys been practicing in the home inspection profession?
We have a combined experience of 40 years in residential and commercial property inspections, as well as extensive construction backgrounds.
Awesome. So what separates CSI from other run-of-the-mill home inspection companies?
Well, first of all, our 40 years experience in the industry allows us to bring perspective to our jobs. And what I mean by that is when we get into an older home built in the 40s or the 50s or the 60s, we understand how that home was built and that home is not going to have all of the so-called modern conveniences of a new home. And we can put that in perspective to our client and what they can expect in buying an older home. It's like buying an older antique car. It has a lot of great qualities, but it might not have disc brakes.
So guys, I understand you were asked by the BTR to view home inspection reports to make sure they're compliant with Arizona standards. And also you served in the Enforcement Advisory Committee. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, when reviewing reports, what we're looking for is to make sure, of course, like you said, that they're compliant with the standards, which means home inspections are supposed to include a couple of things. One, they're supposed to have what the house is made of. They're supposed to tell the client every component put together in that home. The next thing they're supposed to do is they're supposed to list the positives as well as the negatives. And when they're listing a negative, they have to say what is wrong with it. They can't just ask someone to have the heat pumps reviewed by a mechanical contractor for no reason whatsoever. So we go through the whole report and make sure that all those components are in there so that when the client reads the report, even if they were never at the house, they have a much better understanding of the property that they're going to be purchasing.
The purpose of the Enforcement Advisory Committee is to hear complaints against home inspectors that have been brought by consumers. It's actually a 7-member group that will hear the case and determine if the inspector has met the standards of practice or not met the standards of practice, and whether or not they were in violation of any of the standards. This is also to give the consumer some kind of recourse when they have a problem with a home inspection. The penalties can range from a fine to loss of license.
So what are some of the most common mistakes or errors you find when reviewing reports from other home inspectors?
Some of the most common items we find are that they don't list all of the components in the house. They fail to say what was performing its intended function in the house. The reason that so many of them have failures is because home inspectors typically will produce a report to turn in for licensing, and then later on they decide to use another software product or make their own report, and then they veer out of bounds from the standards. So when they're called before the Enforcement Advisory Committee, their report can go all over the place.
The other problem that we see with reports is that inspectors will include things that are outside the standards. In other words, things that don't belong on the report. Let me give you an example of that. Low voltage systems of any kind are an exclusion per the standards, and there's a good reason for that. No two sprinkler systems are alike, no two surround sound systems are alike, and so on and so forth. So there really are no standards by which to inspect some of these items.
Good stuff, guys. So obviously you get what you pay for. That being said, what will our agents and your clients get when choosing CSI to do their home inspections?
Well, of course, when the client shows up for the summary, we walk them through the entire house. We show them everything that we've discovered, the good along with the defects, and we make sure that they understand where every shutoff is for the house. They need to know where is their electrical panel, how do they turn off the main breaker in case of an emergency, how do they shut off the water. The next thing, in case they don't show up, which is another great positive, is that we use the home gauge report format, which we think is the best in the industry. And in that format, the report, along with the photos that we provide them, they're able to read that report and easily understand exactly what the house is made of. Is it stucco? Is it brick? What type of roof does it have? But they get pictures with that showing exactly the condition of the house on that day during the inspection. The report also has a complete summary, which lets them quickly go to only the items that have defects. So when they're filling out their BINSR, they can do that quickly and easily with their realtor. And we also put those into perspective. Every problem that comes up in a house is not an action item. Some are very minor, and they're only a consideration item that maybe even the client can repair themselves or would feel comfortable doing that. So we put those into perspective. Not everything is saying, oh, you have to hire a licensed roofer or a licensed plumber. Sometimes it's the homeowner or a handyman that can fix these items, and we help them with that.
So rumor has it CSI has a pretty awesome program for your termite inspection. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about that as well.
We work with a company called Protection Termite Control. These guys are undoubtedly the best in the business. Doug and I have worked with hundreds of termite inspectors over the years, and these guys definitely go above and beyond to make sure that the house is free of pests, and if they do find any evidence of termites, they will give you a proposal for treatment along with the report. But the other side of that is if it's a clean report, they're going to give you a 1-year warranty on the property, and they do honor that warranty.
What's great about that is imagine if your client calls you up 3 or 4 months down the road and says, we found termite tubes in the garage. Instead of them being told, gee, that's too bad, and you have to pay for a treatment, now they simply call us and the treatment is free.
Well, this is all good information. I thank you guys for coming in. Why don't you tell us the best way to get in touch with you?
Simply call the office number at area code 480-656-6400, and you'll speak with our office manager, Terry. I'd like to kind of pump Terry for a minute if I could here, give her a little shout out, because Terry, along with her hard work and the software system that she has, is able to coordinate the entire inspection easily with one short phone call. Notices are sent out to both agents, the client, along with emails, so everybody is notified multiple times as to what's going on, along with our termite vendor, so that our termite vendor shows up while we're there doing the inspection. So the house only needs to be opened once for that time period of the inspection.
And by the way, you can also book online with us.
It's CSIHI.com. You can go to our website and see, all the services that we can provide you, and we will also do commercial building inspections per the ASTM standards for those brokers that handle commercial properties.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for coming down today and sharing your expertise with our agents. And we hope to see you out in the field.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.